Greetings and welcome to From the Basement. In this video, we're going to go ahead and finish off the Galactic mailer project. So let's talk about levels and level progression. Now, you can write books, and people have literally wrote books about level design and progression and such. So this is just sort of the really brief primer on it. And the whole core thing about levels is that they should help teach your player how to play the game. Which means you sort of want to start off simple. And I'm not saying this is overly complicated, and I'm probably way oversimplifying things here. But for our starter level, let's go with this. We have one moon, one rock. Pretty easy for the player to figure out what to do here. They launch and hit the rock and they die. They launch and hit the moon and they go on to the next level. So, works out pretty good. Now, I need all of those options. I need a controller, a ship landed, a spec moon, regular moons, asteroids. I need all of those for my other rooms. So instead of creating everything from scratch, I'm going to right-click on it, say duplicate, and come in here. Let's add in 2 more moons and 1 more asteroid. So sort of get across, okay, you've got to land on all the moons before you go across, advance with a slight increase in difficulty. And then I'll duplicate that room. I'll add in 1 more moon, but this time I'll add in 3 more asteroids. Let me space this out a little bit better. There we go. So, slightly increased our goal count and therefore the number of points this level is worth, but we've also kind of started ramping up the difficulty level here. You get the idea. There's not much you can do with these levels out of the box for this particular game. So that gives me my rooms. So how do I move between them? Well, I'm going to use my controller object for that. And my win condition is that there are no more moons left. Because remember, as soon as you land on a moon, it changes to a spec moon. A spec moon is not a moon, and so therefore, there will be no more moons left. So let's add a step event. It can just be a regular old step event. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask a question. So we're going to go to control. Anytime you've got questions to ask, it's a fairly safe bet that you need to go to the control tab. And conveniently enough, we do have the exact question we want to ask. Test instance count. Looks like this little ball with 1, 2, 3 underneath it. We'll drag that over. And what I want is I want to say, okay, well, when my moons are equal to 0, I have things to do. Now, I've got 2 actions associated with this. Remember from the Dragon project, a question by default will only be associated with the action immediately below it unless you use the markers. So I'm going to drag in this start block and end block. First thing, I want to reward the player. So I'm going to come over here to score, and I'm going to give the player 1,000 points. So 1,000 relative. Don't forget to check that relative. We don't want to set the score to 1,000. We want to give 1,000. Then we need to move to the next room. So I'm going to go to, counterintuitively enough, not move, but main 1. And this is where I have all of my room questions. And I'm just going to say move to next room. And so I can test this now by clicking on the play button. And launch, die, restart, wait, okay. Oh, there we go. Snapped to the next room. And we do have a slight bug here that we will fix in a moment. And where, okay, it looks like my moons did that disappearing trick again. If I had to take a guess, it was probably moving almost in a straight line, either on the sides or the edge. And that is a problem with random generation, is that you can get things like that. And I totally miss. And I got a disappearing moon again. This has got to be an issue with Studio, because it's been a while since I've done this class, and in the old Game Maker 8.1, I have never had moons disappear at seemingly random intervals. The moon is still there, obviously, because otherwise I'd move on to the next level. Bugs aside, that does, one thing that this does show is it can be difficult to test. Let's say this game has 50 levels. Do I really want to play through the first 49 levels to be able to test the changes I made to the 50th level? Answer? No, not really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my controller, and I'm going to add an event, and I'm going to add in a key press. This is outside of the book. And I'm going to add a key press letters in for next level. And what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to destroy object moon. Now, remember, when I say destroy object moon, I am destroying every instance of a moon on the screen. Because I'm destroying every instance of a moon on the screen, that will trigger me to move to the next level. Cheat codes were never originally for the players, by the way. They were originally to assist the developers in testing the game. So if I press the N key, I skip to the next level. Press the N key, skip to the next level. Press the N key, crash because there's no next room. So let's get that fixed. Let's add in a new room. So this time we'll just go ahead and insert or duplicate room. Now I got a few things I want to clear out of here, mainly everything. Shift right to paint everything out. I just wanted to maintain my background there. And what I'm going to do in this room is put in another controller type object. So I'm going to create object. I'm going to call this endgame. I am not going to put a sprite on this one. I'm going to do add event create. And on this create event, I'm going to display a message. You win. This is normally where we would display the high score if we still had it. But since we don't, we are going to reset the game. Again, kind of a lazy way of doing it, but that's how the book handles it, so we'll stay with that for now. And in this final room, we will go ahead and put in end game. Now let's deal with our last little bug, and that is every time we move to a new room, our score gets set to 1,000. What's up with that? Well, remember, ship landed has that on it, has that in its create event. When you transition between rooms, everything in the previous room is destroyed, and everything in the new room is created. So every time we change rooms, the ship landed is getting created. Because ship landed is getting created, it sets the score to 1,000. That was kind of just a temporary placeholder point until we got in our title screen. So I'm going to take room 1, I'm going to duplicate it again. I am going to shift right to delete everything out. And this time I'm going to drag room 7 up above room 1. And actually at this point we should probably start labeling our rooms. So I'm going to open this up, and where it says setting name, I'm going to call this title. Can't use the enter key there. And for these, I'm going to rename them as level 1, and level 2. And all I'm doing is I'm clicking, pausing, clicking, just like you do in Windows. Level 3, and end room. So that way it's a little bit clear as to what these things are. Now we need our title object. So we're going to right-click, create object, and we're going to call this title. We're going to set our sprite to our sprite title. And we're going to add in a create event. And this is where we'll set our initial score to 1,000. Now, since we're not going to have anything on here to display the score to the user isn't going to know that the score is set to 1,000 already. So I'm going to add event create. Oh, I already did that. Score set 1,000. I'm also going to start our background music here. So I'm going to go back up to main 1, sounds, background main theme, loop, true. And I already have a resource with... Oh, I don't. Well, apparently title is... Oh, the room. Yes. Gotta pay attention to small things like that. Like I said, names must be unique across all resources. Open up the title room, grab title, and drag it in. Make sure that looks okay, and it does. Now, how are we going to start the game? Well, we'll just simply have it so that if you press any key, the game will start. So we'll add an event, a keyboard, any key event. So any key on the keyboard gets pressed, and we will move to the next room. So let's, oh, and we need to open up our ship landed and take out that create event. All right, let's test it. Oh yeah. Now notice the background music keeps playing even though we changed rooms. And it looks like I've just got this one room on this level here that is exceedingly stubborn about disappearing. And when we move to the next room, we immediately get that you win screen, and we restart. And other than the mystery bug of the disappearing moon, seems to be working very good. One last thing, remember how we had those variations on the moons? Well, here's how we can actually use them. If we go in here to the create event, we had 4 variations. In other words, subimages 0, 1, 2, and 3. If instead of changing to subimage 0 on our moon event, if we change to random 4, that will get us a range between 0 and 3. Remember, random is always 1 less than the number you pass into it, which is precisely what we want. So now, every time I play, I will get a slightly different selection of moons, which doesn't mean much for this. See, I got a B this time instead of an A. And this time I got a C, a B, and a D, which my C just decided to disappear on me. But you get the idea. So that wraps up the Galactic Mailer project, except for our missing moon. And since this seems to be a good point to introduce the debugger, that is what will happen in the next video. So, until then.